program, PotLuck. Today we're going to get acquainted. Hopefully, so far you've seen part one of Change Reaction. Today we'll cover a little bit of the history of your host, yours truly, Noel Benoit, including days in military intelligence, which right over here, that right there is military intelligence brass. It's just like a badge, it's a federal badge. You only get it if you're in there. And we'll cover more about that as the program goes on. We'll cover some of the entertainment field that I've done, some of the research, analysis, and basically what has brought us to PotLuck today. Now, I've done movies, done commercials, and we'll show you some short clips from some of these things, including some of the camera work, some of the outdoor adventure, some of the treasure, and just a general overall where Noel Benoit came from. Of course, if you've seen Change Reaction Part 1, then you saw the beard and the hair. But before I had the beard and the hair, I looked like this. And now we're back to full circle, the short hair and no facial hair again. So now, without any further ado, we'll kind of swing into some of the clips of PotLuck, and maybe we'll come back to this from time to time and talk about what's going on. We're going to show you, too, on some of the programs. We'll be covering some of the programs we're going to do and some short clips from them. That'll be probably our fourth program. The program following this one will more than likely be some more Change Reaction with some of the reactions you haven't yet seen when we did the makeover and cut the hair and beard. And after those four programs, then we'll be rolling into treasure, adventure, outdoors, survival, basically anything we can do a good program on, we're going to do a good program. Now, if you have any good story ideas, or if you've got good footage for a good program, get a hold of us. You'll see the phone number at the end of the show today. The phone number is a pager, so you put in your number and then I'll give you a call back. But that's the best way to get a hold of me because my pager rings no matter where I am. So if you've got anything, be sure and contact us because we're going to be doing programs on all kinds of subjects. So without any further ado, let's roll into some footage and show you who Noel Benoit is, what Noel Benoit has done, and some about what we're going to do. Here we go. For those of you who didn't see Change Reaction Part 1, this is what I look like in The Quick and the Dead with Gene Hackman, Sharon Stone, and a host of others. Well, we'll show you some more of that in a clip coming up now. Performing with Leonardo DiCaprio, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, then there's Jonathan Gill, Sharon Stone, and a host of other great actors. Keith David, Ratsy played by Rayner, Ace Handlin played by Lance Hendrickson, now the star of Millennium, Pat Hingle, the judge of the competition, Kevin Conway,
I'm gonna have to shoot you up real good.
as Dredd, I saved the best for last.
5'8". All right.
Woody Strode was the best character actor ever, as far as I'm concerned. Dante Spinotti did his magic with the camera, and it was great working with him. Sam Raimi was the director, another king of guys. I can't really go on with this program without going back and talking about Woody Strode. See, Woody Strode, after The Quick and the Dead, or at the time of The Quick and the Dead, became Papa Woody for me. Now, Woody was the first black to play pro ball, along with Kenny Washington and the Hollywood Bears, which became the LA Rams. He was also the first black movie star, and not only the first black movie star for America or Hollywood, but for the world. He played Sergeant Rutledge, the black sergeant accused of rape. He was in Two Rode Together, The Last Voyage with Robert Stack, The Professionals with Lee Marvin, Woody Shot the Bow. He fought Kirk Douglas in Spartacus. Woody had over 120 movies, and he was Tarzan's main nemesis and an enemy in probably 35 Tarzan episodes, and some of those replay from time to time. During Woody's time, they did their own stunts, and when Woody and Tarzan fought on the bridge across this big canyon, they were out there doing that themselves. Now, Woody has such an impact on anybody he meets that from now, or from actually the time of The Quick and the Dead on, not only is Woody Papa Woody for me, but everything I do is dedicated to his memory. Quick and the Dead was Woody's last movie. It was his last fling, so to speak, on Earth, and I had the privilege of spending time with Woody and tearing up Tucson for about 15 weeks. Woody and I told production to just give us a double suite setup. We had 2 beds, etc., and the whole setup for both of us, and we just spent that time together enjoying Tucson, and I got to learn a lot from Woody, and he had another influence on my life before he left, in addition to the classics that he did as an actor. As far as I'm concerned, there's got to be an actor in a Hollywood Hall of Fame someday, and the guy right up on the top of that list and right up in the main display has got to be Woody Strode. He not only carried character actor parts and did a great job on them, fantastic as a matter of fact, but he also played main roles, like in Sergeant Rutledge, main supporting roles, as in The Last Voyage with Robert Stack. So everything I do now is dedicated and will continue to be dedicated to the memory of the greatest actor and a great, great champion of American heroes, Woody Strode. Champion in sports, champion in movies, champion in life. Now, let's get back to a few more clips about your host. Thanks for staying with us. Your host has also directed, produced, director of camera, and acted in commercials such as this one.
Two things you need to stay alive and live in this desert. One's water. The other is a good camel. Now, this is living. Almost as refreshing as water. Let's go. Give me one more shot. I'll give it all I got. Let me open my eyes to the new sunrise, I pray. Give me one more chance. I'll win the dance.
Then there's the one I did for the Apache Trails Attraction Committee, Old 88.
Experience the legend. Explore the Apache Trail, Highway 88.
There's crime scene and possible crime scene photography. The teeth were in good shape. So whoever it was, they were a healthy individual. This ended up being the unknown prospector's grave dug up at Goldfield Ghost Town and reburied later in a different spot due to the fact that BLM didn't want him put back where he was. The Pinell County Sheriff's Office and the Pinell County Coroner on the scene. Night photography being the most difficult. A murder scene for the Mason Police Department, and this ended up being definitely a murder. Yours truly has photographed everything from the odd to the weird to the gruesome and extraterrestrial with UFO footage. But that'll be coming up on some future programs too, just like this one here. Now notice how this will fade out, come back in center of screen, and move about an inch or two to the right of your screen. That's not a star. When it does that, it's zipping away and coming back, going out of focus. Don't know what it is, but with the autofocus on, this baby normally focuses immediately. A jet can fly at me and stay in focus. But this one will come back in about center screen and go an inch to the right. If this were faked somehow, the light would come in from the edge of the screen, which it does not. I waited several minutes to catch this puppy. Caught some flashes of it zipping, and boom, there it goes. Just came right in there and zipped over. Then there's the haunted mine tunnel at Goldfield Ghost Town, called the best haunted anything in the state that year.
Jerry just barely gets the elevator stopped. Guess where? The 400-foot level. Getting out of here is going to be tough, folks. Anybody who's ever come down this far has never come back.
After my gold, I know. Yeah, my partner wanted my gold too. He wanted it all, and I killed him. Now he rides the ghost train.
There it is, Steve. The ghost train. Now we can let it come out.
Well, it's not easy to tell. This is not even real. The folks here at Goldfield Ghost Town have manufactured a very realistic mine, and for the Halloween season have a great live show
has all
that's full
forms of
surprises, but not
exercise.
gory and not so intense that young children with an adult to hang on to handle it pretty well. The take those
I've even
bones and
performed
go
funerals
away.
like the one where we buried the old prospector back in Goldfield Ghost Town, but in a different spot.
Finally, a Pinell
That's the
County
way
supervisor
BLM
got
wanted
him
it.
a special waiver to bury the bones on his property.
Okay,
Then there's talk
this is
shows
normally
like this one.
a composite.
Friends of mine, when I was about 16, 17 years old, I met some people when we did Hell is for Heroes with Steve McQueen, Nick Adams, Fess Parker, etc., and I was one of the soldiers running up the hills, a featured extra part. And then I did Summer Stock with Darlene Conley from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and some other professional actors did an entire season. And that was some real experience, because there you have to study next week's part, play this week's part, and do next week's set. So you're talking like 20 hours a day. Can I get you something to drink, or can I put something under your head? Is there anything I can do?
And notice it's in his voice as well as in his face. And it's never going to show him as a mean, angry man. And let's see the difference.
Yes. And you, as an example, now you have to more or less ignore the camera and the cameraman. And the person that I'm angry at is right there, that guy in the blue back there. And I just don't like what you've been doing. I don't like the way you've been moving that thing. I don't like the way you're zooming in. You know, you're invading me over here, and I'm not going to take any more of it. So just back
Okay, good.
But I like the story that Noel Benoit's father told him when he was a boy. It's the story of a man named Nikolai who lived in Jerusalem about the time Christ was born.
Nikolai loved people, and he hated to see poor people not able to enjoy this season.
According to the Benoit legend, Nikolai and his wife made warm clothing and brought food to the poor, and word of these wonderful deeds spread.
And when a person would give to somebody else, the Jews used to say, well, he's been touched by Nikolai, see? And then, of course, later when they dubbed him St. Nicholas and later Santa Claus, then the image and the spirit, etc., kind of became one.
And even after Nikolai was dead and gone, the people had been so touched by him that the tradition he began lived on.
So Santa Claus is actually the spirit of Christmas. And because Santa Claus is a spirit, he can go around the world in one night and touch every man, woman, and child's heart to give. And therefore, the men, women, and children who give on Christmas become Santa's elves. So there is a Santa Claus, and we're all his elf if we give it Christmas. That story is being turned into a Christmas video for an upcoming year.
It's a very nice thought that Santa lives at the North Pole with his wife and a lot of reindeer and a lot of elves.
Getting ore body There's around treasure here, stories for cavity, like this one and film footage that will be some of our upcoming stories
the mine, the lost
PotLuck
mine.
Future Tales. Don't miss those.
We are in saddle. We're in right here. This right here makes a perfect saddle. It's flat up on the top there. We got the perfect saddle here and the saddle horn.
This is the location where the treasure.
We don't care. If you're paying to watch this film, we're not going to give you all our secrets.
That's right.
We're going to find it. If you want to find it, we'll give you a little research. You can pay for it and go
But for
look.
$9.98?
Because the real treasure is the search. There are no answers, only the search.
Yeah.
As we find the treasure, it's the beginning of the next search.
Rock and cliff climbing for upcoming shows. Don't miss that number. With 4 years as a government spy, we'll also have some good expose material there. And
which
I did it.
Of course is now declassified because he sent it to the Department of... To show that I'm not kidding, there's some of my Lamson Law School grades, where I took over 40 units in a semester, had a 3.73, handling a bunch of my own legal stuff at the same time. And at the time I had a family. They were in the emergency room about 90 days that semester, but absences dropped me down to a 3.73 instead of a 4.0. And this is from Oakland Peace Officer Training Service College. A 2.5-year course I completed in 2.5 months with a 96% average, or basically straight 4.0. A letter from Ron Quigley, a police officer in Wairika, California. Ron basically didn't make it through our initial first school, but in that he shows that he knows I went into military intelligence and went all the way, so to speak. And here shows at one time I had 5 primary MOSs, and when they transferred me from military intelligence to Army ASA, in order to transfer me from Army ASA into regular Army, they dropped 2 of the MOSs altogether, put the other 3 on a primary, secondary, and additional, then dropped the primary, secondary, and additional, and awarded me a regular Army MOS. transferred me into regular Army as a private E3, since it didn't take them more than 2 weeks to bust me down again. I was actually an officer. They didn't have to rift me because all of my materials were classified. And I was a shoe fly. I was at any base whatever they wanted me to be. So I could check on our people as well as the enemy. Now on this one, you'll notice right here, that point right there says MI. Army, R-A-M-I. The only place they allude to military intelligence is at that point right there, MI standing for military intelligence. As I say, because everything was classified, they didn't have to rift me. They just transferred me, basically already rifted. And this, as I say, they didn't have to rift me or anything. They just transferred me basically already rifted. This shows my diplomatic passport. Right here, photograph attached, Foreign Service, United States America. This was the old diplomatic passport. I had the highest commander's evaluation out of 7 evaluation periods in 5 areas. I averaged actually a little over 19.5 in each of the 5 areas. They gave me a total of 98 out of 100. And in the testing for the rest of the stuff, I also got something like 98. So I had, out of 200, basically 196. On my discharge papers, it said no other awards, etc. Well, I got plenty of awards, plenty of high scores on tests, and all kinds of stuff. I'm showing you this to show you vast discrepancies between the discharge papers and what it says or shows on my DD-214. In addition to that, materials were lined out, things I did, scratched out, taken off, you name it. There were erasures, and some of those erasures show up on this copy somewhat. I was fortunate enough to get a good enough copy by accident. Somebody sent me a copy that was good enough you could see some erasures. It's called, and here's a real good one. Now this is called the old 201 file. And on that 201 file, this one also shows some erasures, things lined out. Not true. We got missing lines, missing material, some erased, some lined out, some filled in. And then we'll come in below that, right down around here. And you can see stuff was erased, lined out. Sometimes stuff wasn't filled in until we got back, because if anything happened, and we'll get on this bottom portion here and kind of go through it, if anything happened, we were either AWOL, or one way or another the military and the government disavowed any knowledge of anything going on. It wasn't their fault, it was our fault. That was the biggie. We were the gangsters or the crooks paid by the government. The only mistake we could make is getting caught. Well, hopefully by now you know a little more about your host, Noel Benoit. And hopefully, prayerfully, all these experiences and all this research, participation in all kinds of different things, treasure hunting,
historical treasure research, filming, etc., is going to produce a variety or potluck of programs. Thus we come to the name PotLuck. That's why we named it PotLuck, because we're going to do a good program on anything we can do a good program on. And like I told you on the last show, if you've got a program idea or some materials, give me a ring and we'll check it out. Add it into what we've got, because we want everybody to be educated, entertained, enthused, and just be every kind of positive influence we can be on this show. So don't miss our future programs, because the next program we'll probably get acquainted a little more. We might have some more change reaction footage that you haven't seen yet, and how different people reacted. And then after that, we'll start getting into treasure, adventure, history, survival in the desert, survival in the mountains, all kinds of topics and programs, including ancient history and treasure. And we'll just get better acquainted as time goes by, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of PotLuck and this program. So don't miss any of our future upcoming programs, okay? Be sure and look for us, and remember that name, PotLuck. Give us a call if you've got something for us. Hope to see you in the future, and who knows, some of our pasture or past tapes. Tune in again, okay?